All right, so we didn't get much of a transition at all, folks. It went from cold to now it's going to be 90 some degrees today. So this is the laundry shed, and I'm doing videos on that, so we're not going to talk about that today. The house build is coming right along. It's moving swimmingly, and I don't know if that's a word or not. Anyways, so got everything prepped. I told you before, especially with welding and fabrication, because this is a lot of welding and fabrication work. It's mostly prep work, folks. It's pretty boring stuff. I get into the nitty-gritty details of all this, but a lot of it's just prepping the steel. I have, you can see my stem wall turned out pretty well. I talked about it already. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. All I had to do here was basically we put a anti-rust coating on these posts, and it's a converter. It's a product that basically converts rust that's already on it and prevents rust in the future, and it's a primer. So we got these posts all primered up. I had to bore a bunch of holes because these are 1/4-inch thick steel, so I had to bore, I don't know, 70 some holes in here for the trusses. The trusses will be attached to these posts. Front end here 14 feet high, back 10 feet, and this is a 2,000 square foot build. So this is our house build right here. Keeping it pretty simple. It's just going to be a big rectangle with a porch on it, but I wanted to keep the water harvesting, the rainwater harvesting simple, so I didn't want to go with a complicated roof and everything. And it's also, it's good for the budget too. So it's going to be a simple house, but so far we're happy with it, and everything's moving right along. So let's talk about chickens. We'll walk you guys over here. Yeah, I look back sometimes and I see all the things that I've done out here. Pretty much as far as the building goes, been doing most all of it by myself, so I'm pretty happy so far. It's one of those days where I'm feeling a little nostalgic, so I decided to make a video, just kind of looking around and seeing some of the things I've done and seeing some of the things I want to do. Still a far way to go here. So what I wanted to show you guys here was, I don't know if I can get back enough to show you this, but so I've been playing around with this chicken tractor. That was a dog kennel that I made when my wife and I went on a trip. Had to keep my dogs in a kennel here, so I welded up a kennel, but it just kind of sat for a year because we don't really kennel our dogs out here at all. And so I decided to put some wheels on that sucker and I turned it into a chicken tractor, and it's actually working pretty well. I had to put some shade on it and stuff like that, and we have a little swimming pool in there so the chickens can stay cool. And I just wanted to show you, I don't know if you guys can really see this on the video, but you can see if you were to compare this, here's a good example. So you can see where all the grass is here, but all I do is when I move this around, the chickens are like a lawnmower, and they just go through here, and they just simply like to just go in here and just peck away at the grass and stuff. So this is a really good method, and I don't have to clean up chicken poop anymore, so that's really nice. So it's a real clean way to raise chickens. And you might be wondering why I don't just let them loose out here, but I'm in the middle of the Arizona desert, and there are a ton of predators, and these chickens wouldn't make it a week out here. So that's why they're in this little cage here. So yeah, I've had this flock for, they're over 3 years old, 3.5 years old. So I've had these chickens for quite a while, but they are still producing eggs. I got to fill their swimming pool up today, so that swimming pool keeps them nice and cool here when it starts getting hotter. I'm going to put another shade structure on top of this too. It got warm real quick, so we're going to do that this weekend. But yeah, that's the chicken tractor, folks. You can see the wheels that I put on this thing, and I just carted around. One thing that did happen though that I noticed was when the wind kicks up though, because I have these shade cloths on the side, it actually moved this, like I saw it just moving by itself one day, and I was like, oh crap, the wind was actually catching it like a sail, and the wheels here, the cart was moving. It looked like a ghost was moving it. So I got to put like a sandbag or something on the corners here to stop that from moving. But other than that, it works great. So Pergola, we've had some cookouts under there already. The only thing with that is I got to add a couple shade cloths on the side here and wind barriers, because it gets real windy out here, and a lot of times we're out there, the wind's blowing like 20 miles an hour. It's just where we live, folks. We're in a high desert, and we just get constant winds out here. So when you build out here, you got to always keep that in mind. The wind is a big factor where I live. So anyways, I got to put some basically some wind barriers on here, and also shade cloths. So we're going to be doing that too pretty soon. So that's that. Let's see what else. I want to take you over to the shed. I want to show you something. Actually, disregard. I'm going to show you the cistern first. So this is a 3,000 gallon cistern. We had this put in here last year. We had it ordered. It was a nightmare, by the way, getting this thing ordered here. The company I went through, I'm not even going to mention them, but I would never use them again. I didn't like the whole process was ridiculous, and there was zero accountability as far as it was. Basically, the company we order it from, they blame everything on the shipping, and then the shipping blames it, the transportation blames it on the company, and it was like hot potato when we were trying to figure out what was going on with this tank. And so I would never recommend the company I went through. Otherwise, I'd give them a referral, but I'm not going to. So we got it here though in one piece, and I made basically what I did here was I just basically put some dirt and put some sand down and did a paver, you know, like you install normal pavers, put some sand down, and I put pavers down underneath it, and that's what it's sitting on right now. We're actually going to be moving this tank closer to the house once the house is built, but right now I just didn't want the tank in the way because we got to get in and out over there, so I just kept it over here, and it's easy for we have a delivery truck that comes here, delivers our water. I get 2,000 gallons for 150 bucks. And I don't have to lift a finger. I just call them and they bring it over here. It's Rockin' You water hauling. So it's a great setup for that. And you know, that's fairly cheap considering I don't have to do the work to go get the water. So yeah, they fill the water up in here. The only thing I've done to this is I added this, you see this clear line right here? So basically I added a little bit of plumbing to this, and what this line does is this will tell me, instead of trying to figure out how much water's in here and trying to add a string and a lever and all that stuff, all you do is you add this clear line to it, right? And the way I set mine up is when I turn the water on only, the water level will pop up in this. Let's see if I can show you here. So I'm going to run the water for a second, but I turn this, and as I turn this, you can see the water pops up here, and it'll tell me how much water is in my tank. And at this point, I've got, you know, 2,600 gallons. So that's what that does. But I'm wasting water right now just to show you. So, and then when I'm done, the water comes back down and it's empty. Now, the reason I did it this way instead of, you know, keeping it constant is because there's algae that grows in these when the water's left, and also in the wintertime they freeze. So I chose to do mine to just do it when I turn the water on, because I mean, I don't need to see it all the time. I just need to know basically how much water's in there, and that's how I know when to call the water guy. So anyways, now I'm gonna take you over to the shed. All right, so this area is probably the most neglected area on the homestead. These are trusses that I welded up. These are for our front porch. This is metal for our roof for our house. I have 20-foot trusses right there that I made, and these are for our solar carport, which you can see I have the layout here for the carport. Carport, house. It's right next to the house. So we'll park here. It'll be slanted this way, and we'll walk in through the back door of our house right here, and that'll be a section right there, and all I got to do is run a power line from there into my utility room. So that's how my power is going to be set up for our house. And so anyways, but yeah, coming over to this area, this is probably the most neglected area, but I use this area every day, and I just never show it on video because it's not really much to brag about. But I built this shed I don't know, a couple years ago. It works fine, but I haven't put any finishing panels or anything on it, and I use it just to store all my crap. Like a lot of my tools and stuff are in here. But the reason I'm showing you this is because yesterday I was walking in here, and a lot of times when you're walking, you're not paying attention. But because I live in the Arizona desert, one of the things you really got to look out for out here are rattlesnakes. And you know, there's a lot of fear with rattlesnakes, and people freak out, especially people that aren't from here. I've lived out here for 20 some years in the desert, so you know, they're just part of the landscape, and you know, you just got to be cautious with them. And you know, there's some protocol with snakes out here. But anyways, I was walking and I just saw the rattlesnake tail going in there, and of course, you know, it's a rattlesnake because you can see that tail. And I knew, I was like, oh crap. So I know there's one in here. The thing is, they're always around here, folks, and I've probably walked by probably at least 30 of them out here and probably never see them. But you know, it's always just kind of spooks you a little bit when you see them. But yeah, it's in here somewhere, and it's under the shed somewhere, probably just staying cool. But you know, when you walk in here, you know, a lot of people freak out about it. But what I do is I usually have a pole, and I've done this for years when I walk outside. So I have a pole with me, and whenever I'm moving stuff around in the shed, I didn't bring the pole, of course, because I'm holding the camera. But usually if I'm going to go in here, you can see just I got all my stuff in here. I keep all my stuff in buckets. You know, I got some hand tools and stuff like that. And just basically a bunch of stuff, you know. It's just a kind of a shed that just stores a little of everything in here. But keeps my stuff out of the elements anyways. And so all I do is when I go in here, I make sure that I, you know, use the pole, and I'll make some noise and stuff. And if I don't hear any rattles, usually I feel like, all right, I'm good to go, and I'll just move stuff around, because that's the only snake that we're worried about out here. The other snakes, we don't really have any other poisonous snakes here except for coral snakes. And the coral snakes, you're not going to find them in a shed. You'll find them outside when you're walking around and stuff in the washes and stuff, but you don't really find them in sheds. So I'm not really worried about them. The rattlesnakes, the only thing I'm worried about. But the thing with rattlesnakes, folks, is, and I'm not an expert on snakes by any means, and honestly, if I have rattlesnakes around, I will dispatch them, because I have cats, dogs, goats that are out here, and I can't have these snakes around. A lot of people might get mad because I don't relocate them and everything, but we don't have a rattlesnake population issue out here, folks. And yeah, I get rid of them if I can. But the one that's in the shed there, I just haven't been able to track it down yet. So, but the thing about the snakes out here, folks, is that if you've watched the snakes, and I watched them, I worked at a pig sanctuary, and I would watch, you know, this field of pigs, right? And they were out in the middle of the desert, the Sonoran Desert, and there was a field of pigs, and you would see rattlesnakes out there every day because it's right in the middle of the desert. And the snakes would just move and do their thing, and I watched pigs walk right over top of these snakes, and not on them, but they would just step right over them. The snakes wouldn't even coil, they wouldn't do anything, they just minded their business. And it made me understand a little bit better about the snakes, and just realizing that, you know, there's a lot of fear with these things, and yes, they can hurt you and you can get bit, there's no doubt about it. But the reality of it is these snakes they want nothing to do with you, just like most venomous things out here. They want nothing to do with you. And the only way that thing's even going to bite you is if you scare it, or it feels like it's being cornered or something. So like I said, the precautionary stuff's what I do. In fact, here is my pole right here. It's a piece of rebar. But whenever I go on walks out here this time of year, I just have this with me, and anytime I see I'm walking close to a bush or something, I'll just use this as you know, my little pole to kind of tap stuff and make sure that there's nothing there, because I have kicked out rattlesnakes with stuff like this before. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about the snakes a little bit. So anyways, that was a tour of my homestead for the day. Maybe next time I'll show you the solar setup that I have in the RV, going to the earth bag again, maybe going to the pallet shed. But in the meantime, I'm going to get back to work, and hope everybody's doing well. Talk to you soon.